Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we are going to move to the chambers for a photo for emergency preparedness? Storm ready. Okay, presentation. Okay, so let's go to the minutes. We've done the pledge. So moved. So moved. Can I get a second? Second. Any discussion? All approved? Yes. Okay, good. It's approved. All right, let's move on to PS1, resolution accepting grant award from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, Aid to Prosecute Grant. This is in the amount of $422,800. I get a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Got a second. Any discussion? Mark, you want to just...
This is it represents an increase of about $330,000 to $350,000 over what we were getting before. There's also another grant coming that I just got paperwork on Friday for the Discovery. It's the Discovery grant. They're two different grants. It's designed to allow increases of salaries, bonuses, and stipends to keep prosecutors. This one is. The Discovery is designed to offset the Discovery. My understanding in talking to people is they expect it to be around that level for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Questions?
It just makes the DA's budget one of the brighter spots in the 24 budget because they want
I'll take all the credit.
Mark, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is everybody, and I mean everybody, we'll stick with counties. Other counties having the same difficulty? Because part of this is supposed to be for, paying for the extra money or
Same
more work
difficulty.
is assigned.
Same difficulty with what? Keeping people?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I know Cayuga County has openings. Onondaga County is trying to claw back some of the positions they gave up because when they got a big salary increase. Everybody's looking for people. It's statewide. There's a shortage of attorneys basically north of Westchester County is what it amounts to.
Then why isn't, let me ask you this. Because the cost of living obviously is quite a lot greater down in Kings County, Queens County, and et cetera, et cetera. What are they paying for people down there?
Down in like Kings County, I honestly don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to
No, I'm not putting you on the spot.
But it's considered. I mean, most of the counties that are downstate are paying considerably more to their senior personnel in particular than they are up here. But part of that too is, like you said, the cost of living. So,
Just because I have intimate knowledge of this, New York City doesn't pay, King and Queens County does not pay as much as the surrounding counties. The surrounding counties generally pay quite a bit more than the city itself pays.
Then how are they keeping people?
Numbers, sheer numbers.
yeah, sheer numbers there. Yeah, that's true. Suffolk, Nassau, Westchester are all paying more.
That's always been the case. Both the
People
the DAs and law enforcement field.
People would rather live in the, on Long Island or in Westchester County than in the city.
No, I understand that.
Who the hell am I living there?
But, the cost of living is a lot greater.
Sure.
You also have a city tax down there, which we don't
Right.
obviously have.
But part of that is that people, like Mark said, there's numbers. People go to the DA's office 2 or 3 years to set themselves up to take a job at a private firm as their criminal defense person or something like that. The people, that's why I say the senior staff, the people that stay eventually get paid, but they have to suffer through that, basically it's 10 years before you get to that point where you really,
So they have the STEP program similar to.
My understanding is, yeah, but I don't want to speak to specifics just because I don't get much into their budgets. They also take a lot more forfeiture money. Like a lot of the Discovery money that's coming from the state is being routed through the Manhattan forfeiture account because they do so much white collar stuff. They take in millions of forfeiture money that they then route part of that to the state to pay for Discovery statewide.
That seems fair.
Any other discussion? We're accepting money here, people. It's not that difficult.
You might get more.
Yeah.
We want to.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Mark. Oh, and congratulations to you on being the Oswego County Acting District Attorney.
Thank you.
PS2, resolution authorizing Oswego County Emergency Management Office to accept a donation from Brookfield Renewable. Can I get a motion?
So many.
In a second. Good. Okay, any discussion? You're up.
Yes, Kathy expresses her apologies for not being here today. This grant is from Brookfield Renewable, which operates the hydro stations, most of the hydro stations on the Oswego River, and two hydros on the Salmon River. They have provided $5,000 to support the drone program, which will be used to acquire additional equipment and supplies to support public safety initiatives.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion?
Well, I think this is wonderful that they do this, because they don't have to do this. But the thing is, with the drone here is a situation where you keep people out of harm's way by using a drone in these areas. Because if you got a problem somewhere out in the river, you can see it a heck of a lot clearer from a drone again, trying to get out there with human beings. So I think this is a wonderful thing.
I guess the long sailboat, for instance. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to PS3, resolution authorizing budget modification for the Emergency Management Office to accept funding from the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for fiscal year 2023 State Homeland Security Program. You're up.
Motion, don't you usually do a motion?
Oh, yeah, right. I'm sorry, can I get a motion for discussion? Motion, can I get a second? Thank you.
This grant is an annual one we have received since the early 2000s. The amount that they've provided us this year is the same as last year, although it's dropped down a few $1,000s from what it was several years ago. This grant provides funding for terrorism prevention or response efforts. You can see the list in your packet that shows how we have worked with our partners in both county government and public safety agencies throughout the county to ensure that the funding is appropriate to terrorism prevention as well as to help the agencies in normal response.
Okay, very good. Any other discussion? Herb?
In Orwell, they had the San River Falls. And, I was talking to some of the firemen up there, and that's where a drone would be very helpful, because the height is straight down to from the top of the falls to the bottom is a long ways. A lot of people went over the falls. A lot of people injured. They've had 2 calls so far. They thought there was a body down at the base, turned out it was a tree. But the firemen had to go all the way down. With a drone, they could really get a good look and see what it is. Sending a whole crew over the bank down that road. That's how they get down there.
That's a project we could consider if they continue the program next year, which I have no reason to believe they won't. But the state and FEMA send out the award letters in the spring and request an application back into them of how we would like to spend the money within a couple of weeks. And this is almost set in stone now, but certainly in the future, SHS State Homeland Security Grant Program.
They definitely need help up there on that.
Yeah, we have a sheriff's drone pilot in Redfield, 911 drone pilot in Williamstown, and one in Parrish that would all easily be able to support that due when we did request there. So,
And we did support that operation, both of them. So
That's good. I
yep,
think that's
absolutely. 100%. It's quick deploy also.
Yeah.
So it takes a long time to set ropes up.
So just for the record, and I just want to point out here, so law enforcement projects that have been approved is $19,500 for the sheriff's office for training, forensic investigation, mobile computing. City of Oswego Police Department gets $21,000 for a vehicle barrier. Fulton Police, mobile computing, they're getting $13,000. SUNY Oswego University Police are getting for mobile computing $5,200. And other agencies, the fire coordinator, iron responding service contract, $24,000 plus has been allocated to that. County IT backup and recovery tool set, $22,000 for that. Fulton Fire Department unmanned aircraft system, $1,300. Search and rescue, portable radios, $13,000 plus being funded for that. And emergency management plans maintenance, $46,000 plus goes to emergency management. So this is a good grant, and it's spread out. Everybody gets a little piece of the pie. So if there's other equipment that's needed for next year, perhaps reach out to emergency management, and they can include it in the request for next year. Any other discussion?
I got a quick question. Terry, who comes up with these numbers for this?
Which numbers do you mean?
The ones that our chairman just reviewed.
For agency.
Oh, the agencies support, provide project requests to Kathy, and she determines, after consultation with partner agencies, what the grant can afford to provide for each agency. The mobile vehicle area, for example, their total cost was double that. This grant provided them half of the cost.
So it does get scrutinized.
Yeah, very closely.
That's what I wanted.
And not only from us, we have to meet quite a few regulations or requirements in the grant application to meet national priority areas. The state and federal government can take a pretty good hard look at what we're requesting, as well as our justification for that request, to make sure it fits the
Criteria that they want.
criteria of the grant, and doesn't go over the amount we've been allocated.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to PS4, resolution authorizing budgetary modification for Sheriff's Office overtime. They're looking for, well, can I get a motion?
So many.
Second, thanks, Herb. All right, they're looking for $200,000 to be moved into overtime, $160,000 from salary and wages, and $40,000 from overtime. This is due to a lack of personnel. They've got 6 people in the academy that should be coming out fairly soon to backfill, but right now they're down people, and it's costing them more money in overtime. Any discussion? Frank?
You mentioned that we got 6 in the academy.
Correct.
Well, what is the total number that we're short on the road patrol? Are we short 10 and we're only?
I thought it was 7 or 9, wasn't it?
I think it's 7.
It's 7. Yeah.
7. So
I think they had 7, but one dropped out. So
All right, so
I'm not
this
sick.
6 will make us just down 1 in road patrol.
But we didn't apply for any additional positions.
Okay, well, I think that, I'm not against that.
Provided nobody else retires
I just want to see,
or leaves.
what else we can get, for people, whatever we have to do. And that's astronomical if when you're short in public safety. All right, thank you. Okay.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, Frank, just to point out, and it's crazy that it's happening like this. You get your municipalities like Manlius, New Hartford, New York, like this good solid tax base these places have because of where they are, the type of people that live in there, let's be honest about it. We can't compete with that with our sheriff's office. It's our hands are more than tied, they're cut off.
I just, I just looking at, what do we need to do to, because it's the safety for them as well as for the public. It's all I'm looking at is safety for everybody. And whatever we need to do, I'm in favor of this overtime.
That's what we need to do right now. is approve
Right,
this
that's,
overtime,
that's
so I
great,
think maybe-
whatever we have to do. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any opposed? I'm sorry. Motion carries. All right. PS5, resolution authorizing budgetary modification for Sheriff's Office overtime in the jail. Can I get a motion?
So many.
Second. Thank you, Herb. Okay. They're looking for $82,000 to be moved from temporary, part-time, and overtime to meet the overtime that's necessary in the jail. All right? Because they don't have enough people there either. Mr. Castillo.
Same question, how short are we on what we were supposed to have versus what we do have.
There, it's a little worse.
Very short. There's 13 open positions. I think we have 4 coming into the next academy so far. It's tough down there.
That's really bad. And so what can we do? Nobody wants to go into it anyways, you know?
Yeah, it's a tough job to take.
I mean, you know, in our neck of the woods, you know, who wants to go in with, those other counties that you're talking about, Mark, who doesn't want to go there and get paid high for, you know?
Well, it's not even about the money, frankly.
Little crime.
It's not even about the money. It's just, there's just not enough people to take these jobs.
Yeah.
It's the job itself.
It's the job itself.
I'm saying in the other counties, you know.
They're all the same.
You know,
Yeah, everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's in the same boat.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let's go on to reporting committees. Nate, you're up.
Good morning, everyone. It's been pretty busy in the EMS world. Lots of educational programming coming up. So the Mentor Fall Academy starts Wednesday. We picked up 1 more. So right now we're at 8 originals and 3 refreshers. The one that picked up was myself, so I'm refreshing in that class on my cert as well. So to be 11 in the Mentor Fall Academy. The CFR class, the Certified First Responder class, is scheduled to start next month on November 6th. Runs through January 6th, hosted by McPhee in Mexico. Currently we have 9 students in for that, and we can take about another 9 more. So I've been working with Shane in his office on spreading the word on that class. The EMTV, the original and refresher scheduled in Williamstown, runs November to June. Currently we have 21 signed up, which is very encouraging. Normally we're at about 10, so we're at 21. For the first time since I've started, I've actually had to ask an instructor what a cap size should be for an EMT class. So we can take 1 more. So we're going to cap it at 22, and after that we're going to switch to a wait list in case anyone drops. So we're very excited to have a class of that size. It's very encouraging for sure. And all these classes, we're still continuing to work with Workforce New York on both tuition assistance and wage reimbursement. Just another update, we partnered with the health department and provided stop and lead trainings at the Clarence Street building. Over the course of 5 sessions, we trained about 40 county employees. So if anyone else is interested in that programming, we'd be glad to come in and do it. Just shoot me an email. Hospitals are continuing to see their surges. Oswego Health does a really good job of staying off diversion. And as the Syracuse hospitals are starting to see wait times of more in the hour 15 range instead of the 3-4 hours we're seeing in toilets. So wait times have significantly gone down. And that's allowing a lot of our ambulances to return back to service a little bit quicker. So that's encouraging as well. Upstate Hospital has continued their mandatory masking in clinical areas. However, because of our numbers have decreased a little bit, Oswego House has removed theirs. So as of right now, the only hospital with a clinical masking mandate, I believe, is Upstate. Additionally, a couple weeks ago, we had a FEMA eval for an MS1 drill, which is the ambulance treatment, transportation, and handoff to a hospital of a radiologically contaminated patient. This year, Oswego City Fire was the EMS service that did the transport and treatment, and Oswego Health was the receiving agency. Drill went pretty well. There's a couple of things that we noticed that we have to correct, minor things, but overall went very well. So it's something to be excited about. That we continue to be able to demonstrate that we have, proficiency in treating potentially contaminated patients. Other than that, in a couple weeks I'll be attending the New York State Bureau of EMS Vital Signs Conference. Syracuse is hosting that at the On Center this year, so it's a short, easy drive for me to get down there. So that'll be the weekend of the 21st. So, and part of that conference as well is the New York State EMS Coordinators meeting. So looking forward to that as well. If anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to.
Richard?
And I should know this, I know I should, but I don't. How old does someone have to be an EMT?
So you can take the class as a 16-year-old. You need to be 17 by the month of which you finish the course. So for example, so this EMT class wraps up June 1st. You would have to be 17 by the end of June.
All right, the dumb question, and maybe we do this, and I just don't know. Do we reach out to the schools and try to talk to some of these kids in there and get them interested?
We do on a limited basis. Sometimes it's harder to get hold of the schools. Oftentimes we'll see the younger crowd come through when they're volunteer members of the local fire departments. We'll see them come through. We are in the process of trying to get something put together with city BOCES. I know other counties are doing EMT programming with BOCES. We're still a ways off on that. There's a couple of pretty significant issues that we have to solve to get there, but that is something we try to do for sure. Just reach out.
Yeah, we should, because a lot of young minds would be interested.
I know this Williamstown class. There's a lot of students who are in the 17 to 20 years range. I want to say about half. But off the top of my head, I believe about half are in that younger range. So.
I'd like to give kudos to Nate because he's done a lot to try and increase recruitment in this county.
We have, and Tyler's been working with us on a new Facebook page, and I think, what did we get, like 40 shares? More than that?
With the class stuff itself, we've reached about 5,000 people.
Yeah.
After one post.
So one post on our Facebook got about 5,000 people viewing it, so that's really significantly boosted our interest. I think in the days after we posted the class, my phone was ringing nonstop, people trying to sign up. So we're looking this fall between the three classes to have about 40 or so students in our county for the EMS program. So
He seems to be improving our outreach to the digital age, right? That seems to be the key moving forward, right? The newspaper doesn't work, right? The website's not doing that great. We need to attack
and partnering with the FACS in St. Luke's, I did not include this, partnering with the FACS in St. Luke's paramedic program out of Utica. We have 18 paramedic students in our county currently taking that class out of the Fulton location. So by next summer, hopefully that'll be another 18 paramedics in our communities.
Or if you had a question?
No.
No?
Do you participate in the career days that they have at schools?
Various EMS agencies do. We don't directly. We do participate on a limited basis with Workforce New York when they have career fairs, just trying to get some of their people taking our classes, because we do affiliate with them. Specific career days, if schools reach out and I'm able to go, I'd be more than happy to go and drum up, but mostly the EMS agencies do participate in their communities.
Okay, as long as there's that kind of an outreach to the schools, because when they have, that's great.
We seem to be missing a bunch of those because we've been looking to try and start attending those and find out the day of or the day after when it hits their social media page.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we try and tap into that communication source. I've been trying to with my local school. So
Okay.
I'm sure there's multiple zones that can definitely benefit from that.
Absolutely. I'm just wondering if there's some kind of a communication that we could be going with some of the guidance counselors to set up these career things to let them know that, we're very interested in attending. You kind of got to let us know so we can plan personnel, etc.
Contacts through the CSI group.
Our human resources can help with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So try and get some sort of coordinated effort going. So
Yeah, so that they are contacted. The other, what is the FAST meeting? What does that stand for?
FAST is the Public Health and Safety Team. That's kind of been a newer team meeting over the course of the summer, hosted by the Health Department, trying to address and how we can best serve our residents during the opioid crisis and reduce, fatalities and overdoses in our county. It's been something we've been meeting on once a month the past couple of months. So
Okay, thank you.
these meetings have been going very well, being very productive. So.
I have one more question too to ask you. On your area hospitals continue to struggle with caseloads and et cetera, et cetera. You said Oswego is not having a problem.
They're doing better. Oswego's biggest issue is when they have boarders that take up bed space in their ER, and it's harder. It's still difficult finding space for boarders in other facilities. So, for example, Oswego has 17 beds in their ER. If they have 6 boarders, that's a third of their ER size.
It's a boarder.
It's a boarder.
What's a boarder?
A boarder is an inpatient who is waiting for a bed in more of a non-ER facility, like a different floor or care unit in that facility or a different facility. So it's basically someone who's there who's ready to be committed into an inpatient, but there's not inpatient space available, so they're taking up a space in the ER until they can find that location.
Now, what kind of information do you have or do you receive about our city hospitals in Syracuse?
So the city hospitals in Syracuse, most of those updates come from, that information comes from the regional EMS council. We meet quarterly and we kind of get updates on where they're at. I'm also personally riding on an ambulance, so I can physically see wait times too when I'm standing there with a guaranteed patient. So, but there is some communication with Upstate specifically does reach out. They have an EMS liaison that they hire full time. I'm on their email list and we do work with him pretty regularly. So.
I mean, that is a concern for a lot of us, because I live 16 minutes from St. Joe's Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to come to Oswego. That's not going to happen.
Right. So they've been doing better. Everyone's been doing better. Syracuse is also staying off diversion for the most part. It's just one of those things when like anyone gets inundated, everyone's going on diversion pretty quick because that patient sharing gets bogged down. Really can get bogged down really fast. You know, so we have definitely seen a significant improvement in the hospital systems and patient handling. So.
Any other questions? All right, let's move on to emergency management, please.
Kathy expresses her apology. She's not feeling well today, so she texted me. The National Weather Service recertified Oswego County as a storm-ready community, which means it recognizes the local efforts that we have made to enhance response plans and weather information monitoring and dissemination. This designation is countywide, so the efforts the 911 Center makes with Kevin's leadership and the fire service with Shane and the other programs in the county are a huge piece of this. It means Oswego County has demonstrated our ability to warn residents quickly when hazardous weather is in the vicinity. And it includes, the requirements are to have a 24-hour warning point and emergency operations center. They have more than one way to receive severe weather warnings and forecasts and to alert the public, to create a system that monitors weather conditions locally and promote the importance of public readiness through community seminars and other ways, and have a formal hazardous weather plan, which includes severe weather spotters and emergency exercises. We do have, with the National Weather Service coming up in November, a winter Skywarn class that we'll have more information. Kathy will have more information on in November for the next Public Safety Committee meeting. It is a class that explains how people can help monitor snow and be prepared for winter weather hazards. We host an annual spring weather Skywarn training every March. And the partnership we have with folks like the 911 Center and the fire service and others is the only reason we're able to do as much as we are. Without that partnership, we couldn't. A couple of other things Kathy wanted me to mention. In addition to what's in her report, we did receive from the state new COVID tests that would be available for your constituents. You just need to give us a call and we'll put a request into B&G. These are new kits that expire the end of January. We also have masks available and N95s and non-surgical available at the Buildings and Grounds Department. COVID seems to be rearing its ugly head again. A couple of other things. Tyler, since he's been on board, just created a couple of social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter, or X, and we seem to be gaining some traction, so that's good. So look us up. We are, the hazard mitigation plan with the municipality meetings is doing well and barging right along. The folks that we've had about 10 or 12 meetings with the municipality so far, and we'll expect to get the rest done between now and the end of November. They're going very well with the municipalities. We also are updating our continuity of operations plan with the county departments, with a couple of meeting workshops coming up next week. We have completed our personnel monitoring center exercise under the radiological plan, and that went very well. The reception center exercise is coming up the very first part of November, and we a FEMA evaluated exercise was completed with participation from the Oswego Hospital and the Oswego Fire Department to test their capability to handle radiologically contaminated patients. The drone program is going very well, with the total flights from in August being 164 missions up. It's up an additional 16 missions from the month before. And if you have any questions, if I can't answer them or Tyler can't answer them, we'll take them back to Kathy.
Well, I would just like to say kudos on getting the award for being prepared, and thank all our heads of our first responding agencies for being prepared and being prepared. Luckily, we didn't get the rain in New York City again, right?
Oh, God.
We got a break there.
Nightmare.
Any other questions? Herb?
So if the towns needed kits for the COVID, who would they contact? Your office?
Yes. Tell them to call us, and we'll make sure we get them out to them.
Okay.
I don't know where Skyler.
Terry, since you and I worked on these way back when, has there been big changes in the mitigation response, or as far as what we got to do?
The new regulations that FEMA put into effect took effect in April, and because this is our third update, the municipalities have a pretty good leg up already. There are a few things that are different that they need to look at. One of them is, instead of needing just two mitigation actions included in the plan for potential funding per municipality, they now have to have a mitigation action for each natural hazard they choose to profile in their annex. Most of the municipalities we've worked with are looking at flooding, especially flash flooding, because we've had more of it this summer and this past couple of years. Severe thunderstorms, severe winter storm, and they're not having too much trouble looking around their towns and saying, well, we could create a project to handle this. In case of flooding, it might be upgrading a culvert or working on strengthening a flood wall in the city of Fulton by the waterworks, for example. But most of them are going to be able to be met easily. We have pulled in already, in the last update, we were missing one municipality, and that municipality jumped on board. I think they were our second meeting with the municipality, so we're not having any trouble with participation. It seems to be going very well.
Thank you.
If you do have trouble, please reach out.
We will. We will.
Okay, hearing no more questions, let's move on to David, probation.
Thanks. Our workload numbers for September were pretty stable. They haven't really been changing too much. Our probation annual plan was approved by BCGS, so we'll be getting our block grant, which we get every year, which is a total of $500,541. We've got a couple officers in Albany doing fundamentals of probation practice training. That's a 4-week training program they're required to do through the state. So we're down on people a little bit as far as work, but we're continuing our groups, running one in the jail. We also just started a decision points group in Fulton, in the Fulton office, so that's good for people who have transportation problems as far as getting up to our office. We just gained an officer completed their special services training, so we now have 10 officers to be able to carry full-time and to execute warrants, which is good. The more people, the better. So, and as far as DWI, stop DWI, I submitted the plan for the next 23-24. I'm just waiting on feedback from the state on that.
Okay, any questions for probation?
Just one quick one, Dave.
Yep.
Pre-trial release.
Yep.
How's that program working out for us?
Hasn't changed much really. Like as far as bail reform, we thought we were going to get a huge influx, and it hasn't really changed. Our numbers are staying the same. You have a certain question, particular question as far as I mean, it's going fine.
Yeah.
There's no
All
problem.
right, so we haven't had to issue a lot of bench warrants to go track these cats down.
We don't because, well, we wouldn't be issuing the warrant anyway. We don't execute pretrial warrants. They go to whatever the original arrest immediacy was, they would go to that. We would only execute if it was a probation warrant, and those aren't probation warrants. So, you know, really, I wouldn't know those numbers necessarily. But I don't think it seems like it's gotten too much as far as the actual, the numbers. As far as pretrial.
No.
Question about your program, such as Ready, Set, Work. Is there any follow-throughs to see if it carries on once they leave?
Right now, all the Ready Set Work participants are probationers, so we would know, because we're supervising them afterwards, so we would know. I don't have the numbers here as far as, but I do know there's been success. I've heard some of my POs have said they've gone out and gotten a job, so.
Okay, that's just, I was curious if there's data to show that actually these programs are in fact working.
Yeah, that's a great, that Ready Set Work is really a good program, I think.
Mr. Castillo.
Same kind of question. In manpower, are we short from what we budgeted for? Are we good?
As far as positions,
Right.
no,
We're good.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
Any other questions for probation? Hearing none? Good job. Let's move on to Shane, Park Board.
Good morning. Activity from January to August of this year, 246 activations for the office, 74 structure fires, 19 hazmat team responses, 37 fire investigations, 6 dive, 2 rope team, 78 no response required, and 30 other. Just a short class. We're kind of winding down our training, but these are some bulky classes. In the note below, you'll notice that I'll be having a planning meeting coming up in the next couple weeks to start scheduling our state fire courses, so we can start getting those classes out so people can get registered. The Emergency Response Training Center stats, we've taught 178 classes so far to date. Number of students have gone through the facility, about 1,188 students with 970 hours of instruction.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions for Shane? All right, moving on. Kevin, you're up, buddy.
Last month I said that our numbers dropped down a little bit, and they more than made up for themselves in August. We were extremely busy August. It's continued definitely into throughout September, so it'll be the same thing next month. All in all, we were about 1,200 calls more than we were a year ago, which is a pretty exceptional increase. So, and a big change from where we were in July. So dispatch floor has been extremely busy. We continue on moving through our training class. We still have all 7 people that hired, so that's positive. However, at this point, it's been classwork, so now they start moving heads on. We'll be hitting our dispatch floor in the next couple weeks. Yes, in 2 weeks from today. We'll be out somewhere in there. And then they'll be getting released the 1st of December. So we were able to pull that in a little bit. I'll shave a little bit off things in training, just because we are so strapped for people, and those 7 people make an enormous difference. So we've got a training plan for cross trainings and stuff we have to do to get other staff out of the way, so that way there's room for those 7 people to work on shift and not other people sitting around doing their thumbs. So working through that whole thing. As far as other stuff, we've been we did do a large radio system upgrade this past month. The entire consortium, they upgraded our core, they upgraded our local crime site controllers, and upgraded our equipment that we had at the 911 center for the radio console interfaces. So that was all handled by Motorola and their team, but we did have to work with them some on that, so it took up some time. We are prepared for Super Dirt Week this week. Tomorrow we'll be going out deploying some on-site tactical dispatch repeaters that will allow their the Super Dirt Week radios to talk to the trunking system, bring that on to allow for interaction between our local public safety entities, and then also allow us the capabilities if there is some type of incident that develops into more than what on-site units can handle. We'll let our units that are coming will be able to communicate down, which is definitely good. Did attend the NISAC conference that I didn't put on here. Did some really good sessions. There was a lot of good discussions here in the Public Safety Committee. Some support for some 911 items, all support for the EMS. That was definitely Nate brought up last month. That was well received at that committee as well. So. The other big piece we've been working on in the background is the, which I gave you guys a little bit of a handout on, and an info memo go along with the ASAP program. It's the Automated Secure Alarm Protocol interface. We actually purchased this when we purchased the new CAD system back in 2018, and due to technology updates on the other side, we've been on hold, but they just recently brought this up. Turn this on for us. So this is allowing the alarm companies that are taking burglar alarms and health alarms and life safety alarms and stuff like that, and either answering those triggers or taking, intercom boxes and stuff that are in people's homes. They take the information and then they would pick up the phone and they would call us and tell us that, hey, we have alarm activation at XY address. This is what's going on. This ASAP interface now is actually a direct computer-to-computer interface that actually allows us to go through it. So the preloaded information that the alarm system company has into their system before the caller even calls, when they do call or an alarm that's activated, we get all of that along with the alarm information that's actually occurring at the same time, which is a huge increase in information to us. And also a huge decrease in the amount of time that it takes for us to take that information. So the address has to match our address for it to work, which we've done a lot of testing, and there's a lot of interfaces. They make the changes on the alarm company side that allow for that. But so the alarm company receives a trigger of somebody that fell and they can't get up, and the alarm company inputs that information, and they hit a button, and an incident automatically pops up on our CAD. We don't have to take any information. We don't have to answer the phone. We don't have to type anything. Their system automatically sees that our CAD accepted the call, and then that goes directly, completely bypasses our call takers, goes directly to the dispatcher. So in case of a fall, we would dispatch an ambulance. So the dispatcher dispatches an ambulance, and on the alarm company side, they see that we've dispatched an ambulance to it, and that what unit is responding to that. When that unit arrives, they see that update as well. If during that time the ambulance asks for any updates, or their alarm company receives like a request to cancel or anything, they can actually type into their side, request to cancel, or be advised there's a key box, under the under the planner or whatever the case may be. They type that in. That pops up on our CAD screen as well as in the ambulances, or if it's a law enforcement side, it would pop up in the law enforcement CAD system, the mobile CAD system that they have. So they have access to real-time information back and forth. We can also message back to the alarm company if there's additional information that's requested by the end users as well. So, and then they'll see that the call is closed. Well, they see the ambulance transport, and then that the call is closed on the alarm company side. So it's helping them out a ton, and then it's also helping us out a ton because it's knocking down those phone calls that we're receiving and us having to input that information that they already have. So, and getting that out to first responders, which is great. So it's a very small cost to us. It's already, we haven't had to pay it yet, but it'll be a little bit of an increase this year since we've got it turned down now finally. But the majority of that cost is actually taken by the alarm companies. They have to pay to be part of it. But they do provide that information because then they get the backside call information and they can show how valuable their system is. So huge value to it. Glad that we finally got it up and working. It was a large amount of work in pre-testing. They had to go through and validate almost all of the addresses by each alarm company that we had in Oswego County. So a lot of that was automated, but anytime there was a bump or an issue, my technical staff had to jump in and try and figure out what the issue was and resolve that and cross-reference matrix. So, but
it's a good,
very good project.
Any questions? Mr. Castillo.
I've been asked in the past, if somebody calls 911 and I ask for a specific police agency to respond to my call. Is that possible? Is that done, or?
It depends on the priority of the call. So if it's a high priority call, life safety call, we send the closest available, advising that the request was for a specific agency. If it's a priority 3 or priority 4 call, that's like someone stole my bicycle and I want the sheriff's department to come, then we would try to do that, except not at the cities typically.
Not in the city.
The cities, we would typically send the city advising the other agency that there was a request. They have to hand that off on a lower tier that's not public safety.
The people that are asking, people from the city, they're asking for
Yep.
somebody not, they've been told, ask for, the sheriff or ask for the state police.
Yeah.
You've got an issue.
We don't dispatch a sheriff either. If there's a request, we'll put the notice out that there was a request and advise the city unit that there was a request for that because of the jurisdictional issue. 911 can't supersede that. We've got to follow the jurisdictional lines. It's up to the agencies to request that initial assistance.
Second question is, with all that's going on right now with the new security training that's going on, that getting money out for to go around the schools, where do we stand with the linkage of the camera with the 911, and if any schools have contacted you as to they would be interested, or, because I know that we talked, about the city of Fulton School District, but has there been any more progress with it? It's just it's scary with what's going on, and everybody knows that, and I don't think there's a person in this room that doesn't want to make every school secure as much as possible, and as much training as we can get, but,
So we're currently, we have a platform identified that we would like to work with. It's one that directly interfaces into our CAD system as well as our records management system. So the back end of the maintenance of tracking records and stuff like that is one of the largest concerns, as well as using a common platform. And this particular platform would allow for us to connect it to disparate camera systems. Still allows the end user agency or the school district or whoever we're connecting to provide access to certain cameras and not other cameras. They still have that control and have that access to that. We haven't moved forward with that at this point in time. I did put it in a capital project request for next year's budget, with the hope that in the meantime we're looking for grant funding to be able to try and support and fund that. To speak to your, has there been any department or any schools that are interested? Oswego City and Alaska both expressed interest in the program. They aren't looking to pay for it.
No, I'm not looking for anybody, that the state and federal government should cover all of this, as far as I'm concerned. It's the fact that, what my original request was the fact that, is it possible, okay? And we found out that it is possible.
That is possible.
But now it's in the hands of school districts, and I understand that to say, yes, we would like to become part of this, and then go to the state and federal government and say, look, you want to protect our children, give us the money, because it should.
Right. What I understand, there's grant funding available for this. It's just getting compliance from the school districts and permission to go ahead and move forward. We can't go ahead and request grants if they're not interested.
No, I know, I understand that, Mark.
Well, no, I know. I just wanted to
And
make sure we're clear on that.
I plan on going to the next school board meeting and bringing forward what I do know, what was said.
Probably a good
about,
idea.
the thing, what are we doing? Because the school boards tend to think that they're above, certain issues, and they don't have to answer to anybody.
And the good thing about this particular platform that we're looking at, as opposed to some of the other ones that I had looked into also, is that you can expand and there's no additional cost to expanding. So, I think honestly, this particular platform, just laying on top of the county's camera system would be a huge value, because it puts a artificial intelligence engine into play that we can either enable or disable depending on which input we're working on. But it would actually identify people of interest, or, well, not people of interest, because it's not a person identification. It's an object identification artificial intelligence. So it can go up to, they're beta testing right now, actually identifying weapons that people have on them. They don't necessarily have to be open carry as well to be identified and some of that stuff. So there's some additional enhancements that could bring value to the county by itself, and then, you know, also obviously schools.
And that's something we can address at the CSI meeting,
I
right?
think that's super.
Okay.
Just one
When
other
would the next CSI meeting be, Mark, that I might be
I
able to
think
say
it's,
next? I know Fulton hadn't
next
anybody
Thursday
there.
after the Legislature.
Next Thursday after lunch.
Next Thursday after Legislature.
I'm just curious, what kind of school participation have we got?
It's been hit or miss. I mean, they all are very interested in trying to do something. I think it's where it is in the tier of not necessarily importance, but you know, there's certain things that we can do and we can knock out like that. And we're working with some school districts like the radio interfaces that we're working on. We're waiting on equipment to come in before we can turn that stuff on, but all that stuff is the groundwork's laid. We're making progress on that. Stuff like this, like I said, there was 2 districts that said that they were interested in that out of all of them that I had met. That we did a presentation to. I think it's more of a watch and see on that type of
I
thing.
think once we get it going, everybody
Yeah.
will fall in line.
I mean, and there's
They
a
all got the
whole,
presentation, all the schools got the presentation?
yes.
Okay, that's
And the CSI been, I mean, if the school districts all been notified of possibly attending the CSI? Or is that just?
I don't think it's a place for them to attend.
We have
where
a couple
subcommittee-
liaisons that I believe are on the list. I don't manage that list. I think it goes out of the chairman's office.
That would be a subcommittee,
Right, subcommittee, we've been trying to.
because there's a quasi-can thing going on where it's not.
Okay.
All right, so moving on, just for the sake of time. Mark, do you have anything that you'd like to discuss since you're here and you've been sitting so quietly? Anything from the DA's office you'd like to report?
Nothing I can think of.
Very good, thank you. Katie? Anything from the sheriff's office? All set? Any other issues? All right, hearing none, let's hear the appropriate motion.
Motion adjourned.
Motion granted. Thank you. Good meeting, folks.